And we're live. Guys, welcome in to the Train to Win podcast. I am your host, Blake Bernard, and tonight we are joined by the beautiful guest, Coach Richie Bolin. Richie is the head man, the latest head man. This is his first season coaching at the Liberty High School in Bakersfield, California. Prior to that, he was the head man at North High. Prior to that, he was at Stockdale High. And before that, you were at North High previously.
Yeah.
Explain that one.
Yeah, I know right after college, I actually started coaching at North and then went to Stockdale for 6 years and then got back to North and became the head coach 2 years into North.
Very good.
So two different stints there.
Now, you went to North.
Correct.
So that was a homecoming for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, how was your first stay there? Was that as successful as the last?
No, it was good. I was an assistant coach on lower level and varsity, and I was substitute teaching, trying to find my way in life. You know, couple different careers, working with the fire department, substitute teaching, and so when I got a steady job, I went to Stockdale, just good opportunity, and became the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, and then when I got in the teaching field, that's kind of what got me to North, because I got a teaching job there and was coaching. And then opportunity presented where I became the head coach in October. So it was kind of mid-year. Mm-hmm. And which, as you can imagine, is quite a change of events. And took over from there and then did that for 5 years. And now I'm been blessed with this opportunity that I'm in now.
100%. I was a mid-year hire too for Kern High. Now I went to the opposite end of the earth, Golden Valley, but that's an interesting, well, it's kind of no different than what you're doing right now, being a mid-year guy at Liberty, right? So how do you make sense of all of that, being kind of like thrown into a new environment, even though you've been on campus before, and organizing things your way?
Yeah. So being a mid-season hire in football, I mean, you're taking over after week 6. And I mean, the ball's kind of rolling one way or the other, and you got to kind of step in and, make your changes, but also can't do too much because, I mean, like I said, you're mid-season. And so, I mean, you're talking rapid evaluations, looking at the team and ways we can improve. But at the same time, not shaking the entire world, because you can't make a whole lot of staff changes and different things, with that when I was at North. The Liberty situation is a little different because it is an off season. And I mean, they've been such a great program. Coach Nixon's done such an incredible job, like the past 12 years, that it's different with the retrospect of coming in and not making too many changes, but also having your stamp, because I mean, I'm not exactly trying to fill shoes in a retrospect, because my shoes are different. I'm a different person.
Come on.
And it's not a shot on anybody or anything like that. It's just, I think people have expectations of what Liberty football is. And I kind of say that, like, we're the standard, and my job is to keep the trains on the track, but there's going to be some different curves. There's going to be some different parts of the train, you know what I mean? But the destination is still the same. Expectations are still the same. The standards are still the same. I mean, and like I told our guys, I'm like, doesn't matter, the teams we play, they don't care you about a coaching change. They're coming.
That's right.
So there's a lot of things that are similar with what's going on in the program, but there are also some changes, and that's expected with anything management change, whether it's Microsoft or, Liberty football. There's, some slight changes, but I think the kids have adapted really well, and they're working hard, and they're pretty much what I expected.
Very good. Now, I love the word you used, the standard. I always told my staff, the standard is the standard. It doesn't change for anyone. Mm-hmm. I've had to, if anything, maybe relax just a little bit on some standards in the past. But like we were talking about last night, it's always easier to be harder up front and dial it back according to the team you've got, right? So what's the standard for Liberty High?
Well, the standard for Liberty, if you looked at what they've done over the years, is, I mean, I'm not going to say certain things because, I mean, everybody wants to win. I mean, week in, week out, you want to win. But the standard for Liberty is they play hard, they respect the game, they take care of each other, they show up every day, they work. I mean, those are standards of it's an upper echelon program that you know what to expect week in and week out. Those guys are going to play hard. They're going to show up to play no matter who it is. They're going to compete. That's a standard to me. Doesn't matter if we're playing Santa Margarita in LA, if you're playing a state championship versus, whoever, or you're playing a week to week versus Stockdale, Frontier, Garces. You know that when you're going to play Liberty, you got to bring it.
Absolutely.
And that's the standard.
Absolutely. Now, standards are upheld by leaders, man.
Mm-hmm.
Who made you the leader you are today? Who are your biggest influences?
Part of the reason I got into coaching was those leaders that kind of shaped me into who I am. I was fortunate to have really good coaches growing up, whether in basketball with Coach Burt, football, Coach Snow, Walter Silver, Chester, all these guys that kind of molded me because I needed it. When it came to what I had at home, I had a lot of great mentors at school, and that I wanted to be that for those guys. And that's kind of what got me into coaching. Football created a family for me. And our football is a family. And you come out to a Thursday practice, you're going to see my kids running around because it's family. And we tell our kids, families disagree, they have issues, but in the end, they understand you got to make decisions that are best for the family. Man. So getting our kids to understand that I don't just talk about it, I am about it. Mm-hmm. And that's why my kids were at the press conference playing tackle football in the library.
I saw that.
And it's real. So my kids are super excited. My wife's excited. It's a full investment with us. Been coaching for 15 years, and that's one of the things about coaching is as you get older, your kids get older, get more engaged in certain things, is being able to weigh that line of family. But to me, it's not really a line because my football kids are my family. Those are my kids. And it doesn't just stop at graduation. I get calls from guys that are 30.
Dude, that's huge.
So the relationships you build in football, they go forever. And that goes with coaches. I still talk to my coaches that coach me. Some of the coaches that coach me are on my coaching staff now because of the relationships you build. And that's why I love football is, you really find out who you are and who's got you.
100%. I heard those exact same remarks about your organization at North High. It's awesome to hear you carrying it back over. Now, I want to know, I don't think we'd be, I'm not going to pull punches or anything like that. I'm sure there were people that believed in Richie Bolin when you showed up on campus, and people maybe didn't. How do you win a locker room and win, families really to your cause and what they can expect in the fall?
Yeah, absolutely. And you go into that knowing that there's probably some doubts, and the biggest part is the locker room, because outside of the locker room, there's going to be chatter one way or another, and those are distractions. And the thing with our kids, I was to get them to trust me, because trust is the big aspect of it. They're going to see that I work and that I care, and I want to improve them personally. That it translates into the team. And so, when they see me show up at 5:40 in the morning and I'm setting up, cones, I'm setting up weights, I'm getting things ready. How do you not show up and be like, this guy came to work, so I got no choice. And so just seeing that I'm invested into them, I think it helped them invest into me. And I think they're catching on pretty quick how much I care about them. And you want to buy into people that buy into you. So I don't think it took that long because they realized pretty quick that I'm all in. And the reason I applied for this job, the reason I got this job is for the people in that room. And those guys are the reason I'm there. So that's that. I think it went pretty quick.
So leading from the front, right?
100%.
Now, if that's the way you live your life, then everything you do every day is just truth. It's just real Richie Bolin. They get to see the real you every day. Sounds like your kids are wrestling on the practice field and doing life with you. What does that mean for like the off the field stuff, the practices that people don't get to see. What has anything changed? You and I were talking last night about things that, you know, the wrestling room practice and what's the word for the Friday practices that you guys have?
Competition Fridays.
Competition Fridays. Explain those and kind of how you're changing maybe the expectation for the mentality going into the season.
Yeah. So to kind of backtrack with what you're saying about like the realness and I mean, people can always say that they're real, but my kids, especially when we have one-on-one conversations, they realize that I'm pretty honest and upfront, and I don't try to sugarcoat anything. I'm really good at making analogies that they can understand and relate to, and that's huge. But also I drop dad jokes that just make me seem good and awkward. But
that's called being vulnerable.
Yeah, you know what I mean? 100%. But no, our Competition Fridays is just a mindset. Just no matter what we play, no matter what we do, because we have different competitions, whether it's dodgeball or bring them back alive or towel work or partner carries, whatever it is. I just want them to compete and fight for each other. And I think that directly translates into football and other sports. It doesn't just have to be football. It can be basketball, it can be volleyball. If you're willing to fight and play for your teammates, that's just going to create a better bond. It's going to translate into season, because kind of like I was telling you, and I tell our coaches and our players, same thing. Like I mean, we can all talk the talk and show up and do some stuff, but I'm gonna find your true character when you're in a dark spot. Yeah. When you're facing adversity. And my goal in the off season is to put them into an adverse situation where they're going to have to fight their way out. Because when it happens in November in the fourth quarter, they don't blink. They've been in this spot. They're used to it. You know, it's like practicing under stress, and it's hard with football because it's such a team sport. You know, there's 11 guys on the field at one time, but we break these things down to where, all right, now we get some one-on-one situation. It's fight or flight. What are you going to do? And I think that playing under stress and things like that, that's a condition thing that you can improve on.
100%.
So
we know that like an organism never adapts to an environment it doesn't experience, right? So you probably want to take them out in the deep on a regular basis.
100%.
Hopefully, I mean, like the goal would be something I've always loved about Liberty is they open up with the hardest exhibition schedule of anyone in town. So they're traveling down to Santa Margarita, Mater Dei, Mission Viejo, you know, and facing these D1 schools that are doing it. All those kids are going to Power 5 conferences.
Yeah.
That kind of makes like those league games look, the lights aren't so bright, right?
Yeah, it's different. And Coach Nixon and I are on the kind of same page when it came to scheduling, and which worked out really well. I mean, our schedule at North was tough. You know, played Frontier and these teams that were, you know, above us when it came to rankings and things like that. But the point of it is for our kids to get used to competing and not being afraid about who you're playing. And on the back end of it, the goal is to play these really good teams. You know, we start out with in a 5-week span, the Highland Palmdale, Clovis West, Santa Margarita, Central, Buchanan, all these teams that we start out with. One, our kids are going to get used to playing these teams and playing without fear. And then we'll come into league, which is tough as well. It's just, it doesn't, maybe those games don't have the same kind of light, but I mean, they're challenges. I mean, we open up league with Frontier, which is a huge game. Really tough. And I mean, it goes into, in my opinion, the hardest league in town. But really what people judge us on is what happens in November. And with our pre-league, who are we going to play in November is going to make us blink based on who we play in our schedule. And, you know, you play a Santa Margarita, Frontier, Buchanan, Central, who are we going to play in November that's going to make us scared? And, you know, that's why I talk about mindset, the off-season competitions, who we play, all of that it's building on mental toughness that our kids aren't going to be afraid. They're not going to blink. They're not going to back down from anything come that time.
I want to go back to the thing you said about truth, because that is a characteristic I've seen in every awesome leader that's ever been in my life. It's how I personally, want to conduct myself as a leader. I believe in like brutal honesty, loving people enough to be brutally honest with them, not sugarcoat things. You sugarcoat things when someone is out of line, needs to change, whatever. You rob them of the opportunity to like see those things, right? How do you see that popping up like in your dealings with, let's face it, high school coaches deal with depth charts, assistant coaches. You've inherited a coaching staff for the most part. Like, tell me how your being truthful with people helps you sift through, maybe navigate a lot of those situations.
Well, I think a lot of things kind of get nibbed in the bud at the beginning when you explain to people that you're going to be very upfront and honest about things,
like expectations.
Yeah, I mean, but also the fact that understand when I have a conversation with them and these different components, because I mean, you listed off a lot of different people and components of this equation, which is just a life in a high school football coach.
It's complex, man.
But when people have conversations with you, I think they understand that based on what you say, how you deliver it, that there's not a whole lot of, I'm not a great salesman. I'm just not. I mean, I've met with parents that have been upset about something and they've walked away really happy, because they catch on that I'm being honest. And because I think in the world we live in, there's a lot of fugazi, a lot of things in front that, hey, just give me the truth. And when you're trying to build trust with people, whether it's coaches, players, I mean, they're not stupid. People are eventually going to see through it. So save yourself the headache and just be real from the beginning.
Man.
Set the expectation at the beginning and let them know, hey, if you're feeling bad or you're sick, you can't make the zero period, tell me 15 minutes beforehand. Don't get nervous and text me 15 minutes later, because in a real job, I mean, you might get fired. And just understand those simple things that are also life lessons for these kids, because eventually they're going to be, dads and husbands, which is the most important aspect of things. But just kind of setting the standard we talked about earlier and the expectations of, hey, I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to try to tell you something you did good before I correct you, so that you understand like everything you do isn't wrong. There's some really good aspects of it, but there's certain things we can do to do better. I mean, it's just coaching, that's teaching. So it's just I'm a weird mixture of old school, hard expectations, but I mean, I'm going to love you up more than anybody. And they know that, and they're picking that up and they're understanding that. So it's just my personality.
So how do you navigate that? Like, how do you hold people accountable to the standards you've set, while still, and you expect excellence of them, because I mean, you've got a job on the line, right? I mean, you have a win column you want to be in, right? That's what everybody expects of you and what they expect of those young men. How do you coach them hard while also showing them how much you love them, that they are family?
Two aspects. One, it's a lot of work. Two, consistency. And I mean, if someone's showing up late, I mean, you gotta hammer it right then and talk about it. Now, if they continue to do that, now we have a problem, because they're either having an issue outside that they're not telling you about, or they're not respecting you in the program. So we got a couple different things to deal with. But at the same time, we're also talking about the work aspect of it. If you come to our weight room and watch a zero period, I mean, you're going to see the startup, big energy, get going, and boom, it goes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around, I'm going to do some corrections, but in between, I'm dabbing up at least 25 people. I'm telling guys how happy I am to see them, because it's a 6 a.m. lift on a Tuesday. Not everyone can do that. Not every program does that.
That's right.
And I mean, you got to love these guys up, because half the battle is just getting out of bed. And that's what we tell them, like, hey, you already did the hard part. you're already here. You might as well work and give me 45 minutes, all you got. And just providing encouragement while these guys are working their butts off and giving them love when you see them, dabbing them in the hallway. And I mean, they've gotten that the last 12 years at Liberty. Personality wise, I mean, we're not the same person, but there's a lot of similarities of good positive feedback that Coach Nixon did in the same way that I navigate. So that's why a lot of these kids have been able to go seamless with the transition. So, I mean, yeah, there's different aspects, but when it comes to how you treat the kids and high expectations and getting on them, but also loving them even harder, it's pretty seamless for them because they've come to get used to that.
Well, you can be consistent because it's who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like, it's not for gays.
No.
It's also not, putting on a show. I'll be honest, I don't feel like it every day. But I know that my kids and my families require that of me. Mm-hmm. And what I found is like, the more positive you are consistently, 99.9% of the time, like you said, loving on them, let them know how much they mean to you. It seems like when you do have to bring down the hammer, it means so much more. Yeah. Because you have that like rapport built up, right? Mm-hmm. But you're also not just mother effing them every practice, every whatever. You've been coaches like that, right?
Yeah. No, it's true. And I mean, kind of touch on what you're talking about is like, and we talk about kids that we'll never ask them to do something that we wouldn't ask of ourselves.
Oh, that's powerful.
So our kids know that I go to the gym at 4:30 to 5:45 every morning. I lift before they lift.
Tell me you do the towel work with them, bro.
Oh no.
Come on, man.
No, my insurance wouldn't cover it.
And you need to get Matsky out there with them.
Oh, man. No. Yeah.
Lost no waivers in the world.
Oh my God. No, but like, so I lift every morning before they lift, and they know this. And so when I talk about getting up and getting after it, like they know, like Bolin already lifted. He got up at 4:10. Like, man, he's going. And my thing is, I mean, there's been days where I haven't been feeling it physically. And my thing is like, we ask so much of these kids. We ask them to get up so early. We ask them to work their butt off in the weight room. We ask them to keep their grades up. We ask them to go to class. We ask them to go to practice. We ask them to go home after practice and do their homework. I have a head cold. I'm going to get through that.
Come on.
I can get through that. So we ask so much of these kids, but if I don't hold myself to that same standard, then I'm fake.
So is that why you said you have to be out of here by 7 so you can get to bed for 4:10 workouts?
That's no, we got powder puff practice tonight.
Understood.
So, which has been throwing me off because I've been getting home till 10, which throws off my sleep pattern. But I'm a creature of habit. I mean, every night before I go to bed, I put my clothes out for the workout. I put my clothes out for work. I put my kids' vitamins out in the morning. I'm a habit creature. But I mean, Nick Saban had a great leadership book. I listened to the audio, and his entire career at Alabama, nobody ever saw him calling sick. No one ever saw him look ill. No one ever saw him miss a day other than when he had hip surgery and only missed 8 hours.
Oh my goodness.
And part of the reason was, in his brain was, I'm not going to show weakness because I tell our kids not to. And part of it was also because of recruits. He didn't want to look like he was elderly. Mm-hmm. But if I ask my kids to show up every day to work, I'm going to be there. I mean, the reason I don't miss a zero period, but if I'm not there during the day, it's most likely because I'm at my kid's recital. I'm at my kid's, awards banquet. And I kind of tell our coaches that. I go, hey, we got 23 coaches on staff. If your kid has a dance recital, if your kid has something going on, go. If you're missing, these things for our practice, I go, you can't get these things back. Your kid's only 6 months. Yeah. We got enough coaches. We will cover. We have an incredible coaching staff, and we got guys to cover you. And family, like we talked about with the family of our team, family is so important. And I mean, as coaches, we make a lot of sacrifices for other people's kids rather than our own. And I'm a big push of making sure our coaches get to as many things as they can. I mean, I'm coaching flag football practice tomorrow. Do I want to? but it's a commitment I made to my kids in January. Life's changed a little bit since then, but my kids are only 7 months, and they'll be at my practices. I'll be at theirs. Our football players will get used to knowing my kids. I mean, they'll be part of the family.
So I got a personal question for you, Coach. I'm so interested in the lives of coaches because, man, what we do is freaking hard. We deal with people all day. We put other people before ourselves. At least the best coaches do, I think. And we still have to make time, energy, and effort for the ones at home. How do you balance that work-life situation and make sure that you're also the best husband and dad at home that you can be after pouring out 12 hours a day? You know, what is that?
Yeah, well, during football season, it's
more than that, probably.
Yeah, it's pretty deep. But I mean, I would say the biggest aspect of it is having an incredible support system, an anchor. I mean, whatever you do, we talk about having a why and having an anchor, and my wife 100% is that person, because especially during football season, she does so much with picking up our kids and you know, taking care of certain aspects. And I mean, without her, I couldn't be in the position I am today, in any aspect. But at the same time, it is really hard. That's why I think a lot of coaches get so tired during season, is when you go home, your dad. They don't care if you won by 20 or lost by 20. They just want to go play football in the street.
That's right.
They just want to play Legos. They want to play Minecraft. They want to do these things. And there's days where I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to do it. And that's why my wife's like, she gives me this look like, I'm like, all right, you're right, 100%. She's my coach at home, and it helps me a ton. And I have 2 7-year-old twin boys that are awesome.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they're a load of fun. But no, you're right. It's something that every year I do a self-evaluation. I write down what I thought went well in the season, what I think we struggled on, things to improve on. And every single year, a level of improvement is work-life balance. And I don't think that's something you ever fully say you're good at. Kind of like team culture. Team culture can always be better.
Right.
Like, you're always going to work on it. Same thing with that balance. And I think there's certain tools to do. Like, I started bringing my kids once a week to practice, and I think that helps. But just like anything in any work, school, any business, anything like that, you know, you want to figure out what you need to improve on, what you've done well, and try to work on that. And work-life balance is one of those things where every year you're going to try to find something that you can get better at it. And that's something I'm continuously improving. And with a new school, a new situation, I'm going to try to find ways to get better at that. So that's a work in progress.
So being a husband, I mean, like, you know, adding, how old were your kids? They're 7 now, but when did you start bringing them to practice?
When they
consistently.
Consistently, last year was the first time it was a consistent thing. Before that, it was here or there.
I've got a 6-year-old at home. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
She's getting to that age where I feel like I can responsibly trust her to run around the gym and me not watch, kind of a deal. So I'm looking forward to that. So switching the husband side of things, though, prioritizing date night, like, how do you guys fill the cup back up after it's been poured out? Because you got Sunday film, you've got the Outlaws to tend to, all kinds of things, right?
Yeah. So to be honest, we don't have a ton of my sister-in-law lives here in town. And then we have really close friends, but when it comes to football season, it's tough because we don't, you don't want to ask a lot from other people. And we're both pretty independent when it comes to getting jobs done and doing certain things. And it's really hard, but we try our best to make we don't have like a certain schedule. Some people have come up with every 2 weeks or every 20 days or whatnot, but we just try to roll with the punches. And if we see an opportunity, we try to grab it. But it is tough because, I mean, my schedule, Friday night goes late. Saturday night, I do a lot of film breakdown. I don't usually go to bed till about 3. And then my wife and the kids usually let me sleep until Sunday. And then Sunday we have our football meetings. Sunday night's usually decent because I have a lot of work done by then. So there's really no set schedule with that. We just try to spend time with each other, whether it's, getting, end of the night when the kids go to bed and, I'm just sitting on a chair in the bedroom and we're just having a conversation about our day, talking about our dinners for the week, things like that. I mean, you just try to take where you can. Probably need to get better at it. And it's hard to anticipate because of a new school, new job, new situation. So this year there's going to be a lot of transition, but we don't have like a set ingrained schedule on that. Work in progress.
100%. That's something I deal with too, man. The hardest thing for me is like finding a way to become present when you've got like, dude, my mind's racing with just like you run your business, I run mine, and it's all encompassing. It's your baby. It's as much a part of you as the blood in your veins kind of a deal. It's hard to separate sometimes. One of the things that helps me, just personal side, is I like do this practice, man. It's crazy. It sounds super, super hippie, but like I like use this 5 senses to like acknowledge the space around me when I pull into the driveway at night. And I think it's like 5 things I can see, 4 things I can touch, 3 things I can smell, 2 things I can't remember. You run through all the senses, and all of a sudden you just like close your eyes, you open them, you're like, I'm here. I can spend better time with my kids. Now the trick is my resolution for 2024 is I never say no to my kids.
Oh, okay.
So they want to go hop on the trampoline, dude.
Oh yeah.
I can't tell them no. I just can't. So man, hey, I appreciate you taking the time tonight to away from your family, because your time's precious, man. You're going to go to practice right after this. Taking the time to do a recording with me means a lot, man. One final question for you. You mentioned that you're not trying to fill any shoes. You're your own man.
Mm-hmm.
But there's standards unique to Liberty High School that you still aim to uphold. We all know the standards at Liberty. You guys have been crushing it for a long time. What do you want to be known for this 2024 season? What are you going to add to the culture at Liberty?
I would say something that like I plan to add is just a different level of grittiness. And when I say that is we talk about the off season and coaches, expectations for their kids. And a lot of players will take on the persona of their coach. And I think our kids are going to realize like how I work, how I grind, how I am. I'm an offensive lineman. I eat with my hands. And I think you'll see a certain level and of the way our kids play. It'll be very hard nosed, very tough. And it's not that Liberty hasn't been that before. It's just going to be probably a little different of what's expected of them. And, I'd say grittiness is probably a term. There's going to be a very high level of grit.
I freaking love it, man. I'm a huge Dan Campbell fan. So when you say stuff like that, I'm like, hell yeah, brother. All right, man. Well, hey, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Your time is precious. It's very valuable to us as well. And I just can't tell you how much we appreciate it, man. Looking forward to watching you win a lot of games this year and on, okay? Guys, hey, this has been another live episode of the Train to Win podcast. Once again, I am your host, but this is Coach Richie Boland. Coach, where can the people find you and maybe learn more about your program? I don't know, for those 7th, 8th graders out there that are, looking for a home.
We got dude, I'm not a big social media filmer. No, we have a Facebook.
We got to get better at this, dude.
Yeah, there's a Liberty Instagram page. I personally have a Twitter, rboland63, things like that. But let's step up the social media level.
Find him, guys. Find him. As always, you can find me at Blake Bernard Coaching on Instagram. And again, guys, hope you're enjoying these live episodes. I know I do. It's way less work on the back end. Thank you so much for 511 Media for making this a reality. Until next time, hail strength.